So those YouTube guys all just hold it in their hand. Do they have like massive forearms from walking around for an hour holding a phone in their hand? Or is that not actually exercise? I don't know. Hello. Welcome to this one car, very low ceilinged and 6 feet tall garage in Oakland, California. I wish that I kind of begun this video 3 weeks ago, and maybe even 4 months ago, when we first were given the opportunity to visit this car right here, which is a 1973 Volvo 1800 ES from 1973. This beautiful car came to us from Menlo Park. We actually went out there from Oakland to Menlo Park, and this lovely beast was sitting underneath a tarp, underneath an oak tree, up to her wheels in mud. Well, actually it was clay that had hardened into, clay, concrete blocks. And so we went out there, we talked to the owner. She's super nice. She's very excited that after all this time, we're bringing her back to life. And much excitement was had, and then life happened, and so it was 3 months or so before we went back, and went back with our friend Michael, and so pretty, and we started working on getting her out of the ground. First thing we did was jack everything up. Had to make sure that the brakes were free. They weren't, so we took off all the calipers. We lost all the pieces. That's not entirely true. Some of them are in a box over there. Tied up the brakes, took off half the calipers in the rear. 4-wheel disc brakes, by the way, very exciting for 1973. It's a foreign Swedish car for you. The story with this car is the previous owner from which we got it, she actually purchased it brand new at Carlson Foreign Motors in Burlingame, I think, in 1973. And she loved this car. She covered it every day that she brought it back into the garage. Drove it for years and years. Her daughter then drove it to school, and apparently took really good care of it, because it's still pretty shiny. I guess I shouldn't just be standing here, right? You can look more of the car. There's not much room in this garage though, so I'll just kind of like spin a little bit here maybe. And terrible lighting also. But yeah, so we got this car. It was parked in 1991. So easy to do the math. It's 2021, 30 years, this beautiful car, whose name happens to be Guinevere. Again, we didn't name her. It comes with the previous owner. And we figured out how she would fit in here, and did a bunch of finagling and tried to rent a U-Haul truck for one day. Well, a trailer, really. And we managed to do that. We got it up, and we didn't have any brakes, and we didn't have any gas, and so it was a lot of pushing and pulling. Don't have a winch. Come along. Got to come along at O'Reilly's, along with some jack stands, some other pieces along the way. So that was pretty much what happened until this point. Michael did not get killed as he was in the driveway when we were lowering this down. You can't see it here, but there's a slope up the driveway. This is the lovely B20. It's the, I think, last in the series of these 4-cylinder B motors. It's fuel injected. I know nothing about that. It's got a rag in it, which is thankfully not going anywhere with gasoline, because we'd have a little Molotov. But it's really just to keep junk out of our water pump. You can see it's missing some things up front here. You can see all the way in through here. And we learned a couple things while we were doing this. First of all, the grill has a very tricky sort of like hidden way of getting itself taken apart. There are 4 clips on the bottom and 4 clips on the top, and a very brittle 45-year-old grill. And so we had to figure out how to do that. Thankfully, all the folks on my Facebook forum group helped us figure that out. You basically have to force them down into here and the bottom, and you can pull it up. And I didn't break it, thankfully, but I did lose 1 clip. So that's a lot of work to get to this area, which actually has a serviceable part. The air filter, which is obviously not there right now, lives here. And so in order to clean it, because normally the radiator's right behind it, you have to take the grill off. I guess if you do it a few times, you get used to it. But it was a nerve-wracking experience a little bit for me. First thing I did, of course, so that was part of it. Yeah, so you take it off, and then you have to actually, the air filter, let me see over here, the cover kind of extends the wrong way from what you'd expect. It goes sideways, so somehow it catches air, even though it's not pointing into the air. And yeah, so we checked that out. There's a vacuum container here, does something with the fuel injection. I don't know where it's vacuum sucking and blowing, but that obviously needs a little love because it's, not doing either of those things. Dual horns, it's pretty sweet. All right, so I guess back up here, we did the things you'd expect to do. We couldn't turn the fan to see if the motor was going to roll over because it's got a clutch in it. So we wanted to take the fan off, and we wanted to get to the crank bolt there, and the radiator was in the way. So took the shroud off, took the radiator out, took the fan off, not pressed on, by the way, slipped off very easily, which was nice. And then we cranked her over, sprayed a little WD down into the old pistons, and yeah, just kind of rolled her over a few times, and filled up with as much bottles of oil. I think we put 5-6 different half quarts in there or something, but we topped her off. It's not terrible looking in there. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, the fuel injection system, I know nothing about. I'm scared about it. Some guys online gave me this cool looking PDF that I have not started to read yet. They said, don't go to carbs because you'll enjoy the fuel injection. It's better efficiency, better performance, better everything. Apparently it's fairly simple. If your fuel rail's all not rusted to crap and all your lines are all funky and brittle and catching on fire. So we're going to give that a go, I think, to begin with. A little bit of rust on the car. The old battery area, you can see, not surprisingly, not terrible. They have this lovely Swedish armor here, so it seems to have protected a little bit of what's under there, or it's just glued it together. I don't know. There's also this similar sort of area down there. I mean, how it, compared to how it might have ended up, it's pretty solid. Last thing up front I think I'll tell you about here before I bore you all to death. There's already brake fluid in it, but our brakes are off, so that doesn't really help. We'll see what happens with that. And then over here, we've got this lovely Volvo tag, which should be all polished up, which indicates a color, a Farg of 105-2, which is this pretty beautiful gold in my opinion. The jury's out on whether or not we'll keep this color because my significant other, she thinks that there are better colors in the Volvo color suite, especially in the 1800s. So, there are really nice colors, so we'll see how that works out. Everything else, had a tarp on it for 30 years, so it's not bad. It's not great. I found the other windshield wiper in the trunk area. We don't have any keys, so this door has a broken handle also, so it remains unfunctional. As you can see, we pulled the seats, which smell terrible. There's a grill too. Oh, and there's a windshield wiper. Yeah, the seats have seen better days. I mean, they're not, well, no, they're terrible. They smell terrible too. This is the sponge that soaked up all of the mildew in Northern California. There's I think there might be something growing right there. I'm not going to touch it. But apparently, I mean, I'd love to slip a cover on this, but I don't think it's ever going to smell less bad. I think it's just going to always be bad. In fact, the smell in general is really hard to deal with. I ripped out most of the carpet, knowing that I'd never get the smell out of it. It also is not nearly the color it should be, so something happened there. Maybe I can go on the other side and show you the footwell. That's just pretty nice. It's got its faux simulated wood finish. Upper and lower pads are cracked in a couple places, but you know, that's the least of my worries right now. I haven't put a battery in, so I don't know what it's going to do in here. Might catch on fire. I don't really know, but managed to get the back hatch open without a key by taking the latch out. Probably can't see that, but put all the pieces back in here so they continue to smell bad. I think you can see the headliner's in pretty good shape. It's filled with mold, probably black mold or something, but I'm hoping I can get it clean. So I'm looking into different alternatives for that. And then I got the, you know, I come from a long line of Volkswagen, so I'm used to the weird inflated puffy visors. But yeah, aside from the aroma, it's not bad in here. Comes with the factory roof rack, which is very durable. I know that because I've pushed on it a lot. And then here you can see it's the ES version, the shooting brake, the 2 years, I guess, out of 61 to 74, 15 years of 1800 production, something like that. I'm just getting smart about this. I don't really know a lot about the car, but you know, every day I learn a little more. I know that these markers, which look kind of weird, were US federal, so they're not on the European cars. They don't have a side marker at all as far as I know, which looks much nicer. I mean, it's kind of wonky. It's kind of like off at a weird angle. Again, body super tight here. All of the wheel well and arches and fender wells are all pretty sweet. And then I guess the last thing I'll do to show you before I stop this, yeah, it'd be nice if I could open the doors too, is to, well, I got the trunk to open, as I mentioned. It's lovely and amazingly, well, it was before, amazingly, those pneumatics are holding after however many years, 73, I don't know, 48, something like that. I'm terrible at math. I really am. So we took out a bunch of stuff, had to do some work around the filler, and then it's a little bit awkward to get the tank out, but we got it out. My back is still hurting a little bit for it. It has all the original parts there. I was happy to see as far as the jacking stuff. I was also really happy to see that there's a tire in here that actually has air in it. And there's my 4th chrome dress-up ring, which is nice because they're like $120 new, and the center cap, which I thought was more expensive, but still hard to find. So that's where we are. We've taken a bunch of stuff apart. That's kind of it. I'm Peter. Hopefully this is interesting to you to some degree. And maybe I'll put this together. Who knows?